Ah, Halloween, the perfect night for ghosts and goblins and cartoons? That's right, before horror movies ruled October, classic animation gave us plenty of chills, thrills, and laughs. Today we're celebrating some of the best spooky classic cartoons to watch this Halloween. Let's start with the granddaddy of them all. The Skeleton Dance is the OG spooky cartoon. Dancing skeletons in a moonlit graveyard, moving with perfect timing to classical music. It's both eerie and oddly hilarious. This was the very first silly symphony, directed by Disney legend Iwerks, and it set the stage for decades of Halloween imagery. Skeletons rattled their bones like xylophones, skulls turn into percussion instruments, and the whole graveyard feels alive with macabre rhythm. It's basically the blueprint for every skeleton dance party you've ever seen since. 90+ years later, it's still one of the most atmospheric, stylish, and rewatchable pieces of spooky animation ever made. Before Disney's Snow White ever hit theaters, Betty Boop had her own version, and it's one of the spookiest cartoons ever made. Directed by Dave Fleischer, this short turns the fairy tale into a surreal nightmare. You've got Betty cast as Snow White, but the real star is Coco the Clown, who transforms into a ghostly, rubber-limbed figure while Cab Calloway's voice drifts over the soundtrack. That eerie performance of St. James Infirmary blues, combined with rotoscoped dance moves, gives the whole thing a haunting, dreamlike quality. The animation is dripping with Fleischer weirdness. Melting faces, morphing shadows, enchanted caves, and transformations that feel like they crawled straight out of a fever dream. If you want a Halloween cartoon that's both classic and genuinely unsettling, this is it. It's a black and white gem that proves cartoons could be just as surreal and chilling as live-action horror of the time. Ha 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 kicks off with Coco the Clown crawling out of the inkwell with a raging toothache. Betty Boop in a little apron plays dentist for the day and tries to pull the bad tooth. Things get weird fast when dentures start clattering on their own and even fight with a pair of pliers. But once the laughing gas escapes, all bets are off. The giggles spread like an epidemic. People in the streets collapse into hysterics, and even the world around them joins in. Clocks chime with chuckles, cars honk in laughter, bridges bend with hysterics, and yes, even tombstones are cackling from beyond the grave. It's surreal, funny, and just the right amount of creepy. The Fleischers had a way of pushing ordinary gags into nightmare territory, and Ha 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 is a prime example. A cartoon where laughter itself becomes a haunting force that takes over everything. If you want a Disney short that leans into horror comedy, look no further than Donald Duck and the Gorilla. It begins with Donald and his nephews pulling pranks on each other after hearing a radio broadcast about a killer gorilla named Ajax who's escaped from the zoo. It's all fun and games until the real Ajax shows up at their house. From there, it turns into a spooky little cat and mouse game. Donald and the boys creep through darkened rooms, shadows stretch across the walls, and Ajax looms in doorways like something straight out of a monster movie. What makes it fun is the mix of genuine menace, with Ajax being huge, hulking, and surprisingly scary, and Donald's over-the-top panic. The short plays like a cartoon version of a haunted house chase, with plenty of slapstick to balance the tension. It's not often Disney went full-on spooky, which makes this one stand out as a perfect pick for Halloween night. Bob Iwerks, the animator who helped bring Mickey Mouse to life, created Flip the Frog after striking out on his own. And in Spooks, he dropped poor Flip into one of the creepiest haunted houses in cartoon history. The short starts on a stormy night as Flip seeks shelter in a looming shadowy mansion. Inside, he's greeted by a skeleton butler and soon finds himself surrounded by an entire crowd of bony hosts. They're all too eager to welcome him into their world, though it quickly becomes clear they've got a sinister plan in mind. The animation is packed with eerie gags. Skeletons clatter and dance in rhythm, shadows stretch unnaturally across the walls, and the whole house feels alive, bending and warping with ghostly energy. It's equal parts funny and unsettling, the perfect mix of 1930s surrealism and Halloween atmosphere. Spooks plays like a rubber hose fever dream, blurring comedy and horror into one unforgettable haunted house ride. When it comes to Halloween cartoons, Bugs Bunny delivers one of the all-time greats in Broom-Stick Bunny. The setup is simple. It's Halloween night, and Bugs is out trick-or-treating dressed as a witch. That's when he crosses paths with the real deal, Witch Hazel, voiced to perfection by June Foray.
I don't remember seeing her at any of the union meetings.
Hazel, cackling in delight, invites Bugs inside, but quickly realizes he's uglier than she is. And for a vain, green-skinned witch who prides herself on being the ugliest of them all, that won't fly. So she tries to make him pretty. But when she finds out Bugs is actually a rabbit, which she needs for her potion recipe, all hell breaks loose, with Hazel chasing Bugs all through her crooked little house. The short is loaded with classic Looney Tunes humor. Snappy one-liners from Mel Blanc, slapstick gags that twist horror tropes, and backgrounds drenched in spooky Halloween atmosphere. Hazel's house itself feels like a witch's playground, with every wall and potion bubbling with personality. Broom-Stick Bunny is funny, spooky, and endlessly rewatchable. It's Looney Tunes at their Halloween best, turning monsters and magic into pure cartoon gold.
There are some people who believe in ghosts, and there are some people who don't.
Not every Halloween cartoon has to send shivers down your spine. Sometimes it just tugs at your heartstrings. Casper the Friendly Ghost is the perfect example. Debuting in 1945, these shorts follow Casper, a lonely little ghost who doesn't want to scare anyone. He just wants a friend.
He just wanted to be friends with everyone.
Of course, that's easier said than done. Whenever he approaches people or animals, they run away screaming, leaving him sad and isolated. But each short usually ends with a glimmer of hope, whether it's befriending a child, a fox cub, or some other kindred spirit who can see past the spooky exterior. The visuals are drenched in Halloween charm. Misty graveyards, looming castles, crooked fences under a full moon. But instead of horror, they give you a gentle, bittersweet vibe. Casper is a ghost, sure, but he represents that softer side of Halloween, the part that's more about companionship and warmth than frights. If you want to balance your marathon of skeletons, witches, and haunted houses with something sweet and a little sad, Casper the Friendly Ghost is a must-watch. Another Bugs Bunny classic, Transylvania 65000. This time, Bugs takes a wrong turn as usual and winds up at a spooky castle tucked deep in Transylvania.
Boy, they don't make places like this anymore.
Of course, the castle belongs to a vampire, Count Bloodcount, with his cape, fangs, and all the bat-to-human transformations you'd expect. Instead of running, Bugs does what Bugs does best, outsmarts him. Armed with nothing but a magic phrase book, Bugs discovers that saying words like abracadabra or hocus pocus can transform the Count back and forth between bat and man. What follows is one of the funniest horror parodies in Looney Tunes history, with Bugs casually cycling the vampire through transformations until the poor Count is utterly humiliated. The short nails the spooky atmosphere, storm clouds, cobwebbed halls, and a looming gothic castle, but keeps the laughs coming at a rapid-fire pace. Transylvania 65000 is the perfect way to cap off a Halloween cartoon marathon. A mix of scares, atmosphere, and Looney Tunes comedy that leaves you smiling as the credits roll. So whether you're into dancing skeletons, jazz-singing clowns, or Bugs Bunny outsmarting witches and vampires, these spooky classics prove that cartoons can be just as much a part of Halloween tradition as jack-o'-lanterns and candy corn. Which spooky cartoon is your favorite? And which ones did I miss that deserve a spot in part 2? Drop your picks in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more retro Halloween fun. Happy haunting!